Hello, my name is Ryan from Buster Beagle 3D. Today I'm going to show you the xTool Rotary Attachment 2 Pro. It's the newest accessory for the xTool D1 diode laser to engrave things such as tumblers, glasses, mugs, rings, ornaments, and many other things. What does it do? Well, let's find out. Alright, so what we have here is everything that comes in the box. We have the main rotary tool attachment. That's what everything is going to plug into. We have the height adjuster, which will go at the end. And so if you have something long or if you have something tapered and you want to make sure that it's flat, this is where you would put this up on its side, and that'll hang off the end so that things can be adjusted. We have our chuck jaws and all of the hardware that's associated with that, which will go into this B and A slot right here. We have our stepped jaws up here, and that is for objects that have more of a 90-degree angle, like a mug or something like this. We also have these larger jaws that are used for things like rounded mugs. We have these attachments, and they can be used for things such as rings or bracelets. We have this, which also goes at the end, much like the height adjuster, and this is for things such as spheres. It's to be used in conjunction with the stepped jaws, and what that is going to do is basically just have something on the end kind of holding that round piece. It also comes with a level that is used in conjunction with the end tool to make sure that you have your height exactly right on a particular glass. It comes with multiple different wire connections. This is for the xTool as well as other brands, it's kind of a nice touch to see that they're doing that so that this tool can be used with other manufacturers as well. We have our hex keys as well as different hardware to attach some of this stuff. And finally, a pretty comprehensive owner's manual that just tells you how to hook everything up. It's in multiple languages. And it's got lots of nice diagrams and information in there about how everything works, which is nice. I had originally filmed this as more of a tutorial video, but that was getting a little bit long and boring, so instead I thought I would just show you the different setups of what this attachment can do. First, I wanted to show you how I set up this with my grid that you can find in the description for free. This also works by attaching feet to a spoil board with these 3D printed parts that I also give away the files for free, or you can buy them on my Etsy store. Okay, so the way this works is you see that you have this A, B, and C. Now this particular grid is for the new version of the rotary tool, and if you see my other grid, you'll see I don't have this A, B, and C on there, and that's because this one is a little bit different than the other one. The front edge of the older rotary tool sticks back about 3 millimeters. So all of these lines are 3 millimeters down. And the reason that makes a difference is, so if you look at the rotary tool, you'll notice there is A, B, and C up here. What that is referring to is the position that you choose for your rotary tool. So you see right here it says C, and right here I'm using the C roller currently. So what you do is you take this and you move it so that the front edge of the rotary tool lines up with that letter. So there's a line that goes all the way through. You just align that, and then what that'll do is that'll make the highest point of the glass or whatever you're going to use, like the top of that point will be right on this center line, which is the 0 line. So it's just a nice way of making sure that you're not only square to the glass or whatever else that you're doing, but it also gives you an easy way to know where that center point is on your grid. Now, again, if I had moved this over to the B, Then I move this up to that B line, and then this would be halfway between the distance between these two rollers. And then you'll notice on the C here, I have C, but then I also have chuck jaws. So if I move it back to that line, and then if I were to install the chuck jaws, again, now the center, the highest point of this is right at that 0 line again. And so that's how you use this particular grid with these rotary tools. Now again, this rotary tool, if I grab the other one, you'll see when you line these two up to each other, you'll see that these rotary rollers are in slightly different positions. They're the same kind of away from each other, but it might be hard to see at this vantage point. But you see this one is back about 3 millimeters from the front edge of this one when the rollers are in the same position. That's why this specific grid, so the one that has these numbers that go up the side, it also has kind of the smaller squares than my original rotary grid. This one has different positions for this A, B, and C line than the original one did. So just keep that in mind, depending on which of the rotary tools that you have, either the original or the new Pro version. So this is the first type of setup, very much like the original rotary attachment, where I have placed my tumbler on the rollers, but now I have this leveler accessory that I can use to level the tumbler to be perpendicular with the laser. They also give you this level that you can place on your glass and turn the knob until the bubble is in the center. I check the height of the laser head and then use the rotary attachment like normal. The second way to use the tool is to remove the rollers and attach the chuck. This allows you to grasp things such as mugs and other cylindrical and spherical objects. This really does not work for objects with a taper, as it will only rotate from the middle and does not allow you to angle the objects. It comes with a few different options to attach to the chuck for different holding options. The first one I used was this chuck with the step jaws. Now, as was the case with this mug, the handle was still too large to rotate around without hitting the base plate. You can remove the right hand section with the motor and the chuck and then attach it with the base plate sticking out the opposite side. The problem I then ran into was my mug handle was still too deep and would hit the spoil board, so I had to raise the entire attachment off the spoil board to create enough clearance. This also creates an issue that you would have to weigh down the platform on the other side to keep it from tipping due to the weight on the chuck. The next way to use the chuck is with more of a round object or glass that has a more rounded base. I turned the base plate back around and removed the step jaws and added the wider jaws. Let's say I wanted to engrave something on this Alexa. I can add it to the jaws on one side and attach this holder attachment that comes with the kit and presses against the other side of the sphere. This can also be used for ornaments or other round objects. The fourth and final attachment in this kit are these little stems that screw directly into the chuck. These are used for small spherical objects as well as things like rings and bracelets. You just place the object on the attachment and open the chuck. So for a few observations to be aware of that I found. First is the distance of the rotation will vary based on the setup that you choose. Lightburn has some settings to make up for this, but if you are using LaserBox Basic to start, I highly recommend doing this step. Put a piece of masking tape on your glass. In LaserBox Basic, click on the device settings of your laser and turn off the crosshairs and turn on the laser spot. Click the Start button and then click the checkbox at the bottom to use the rotary attachment. Click the checkbox to turn on the laser spot at 3%. Make a little mark on the masking tape where the laser is at, and then change the distance to 100 millimeters and then click on this arrow. The rotary attachment will turn what it thinks is 100 millimeters and stop. Make another little mark at that point. Then measure the distance between those 2 points. In this case, the measurement was 90 millimeters. However, it was supposed to have moved 100 millimeters. Since the D1 does not allow us to alter the firmware, you have to compensate for this discrepancy in the image itself in LaserBox Basic. Since it's reading 90 millimeters when it should be 100 millimeters, I know that it's 10% short, so I need to add 10% to the image in the horizontal ratio to account for the rotary distance. Again, this is a topic that I will go more into in future videos, such as how to create the perfect looking round logo on a tapered tumbler or glass. Another thing to look out for is when you're using the chuck, the object rotates in the opposite direction, so I needed to mirror my image, which I learned the hard way. Again, a future topic for a future video. So I did like this new setup, and I have already been thinking of ways to use it. There are a few things that I wish xTool would look into, or that I thought could be improved. First was the height of the chuck attachment. I feel like the mug that I was using was a pretty small mug, so it would have been nice if that was a little bit higher so that the handle could clear the base, as I feel like this will definitely be something people are using this attachment for. I also wish that the rotary attachment came standard with the extension legs, as you really can't use this or any of the rotary attachments without lifting the machine up. My last wish list item would be improvements to the LaserBox Basic for adjustments for the discrepancies in the distance of the rollers or chuck you were using. Again, I know that Lightburn has these settings, but it would be nice to see in LaserBox Basic as well. I wanted to thank xTool for sending this new attachment to me, and if you are interested in seeing another video on how I make the better looking circles on a tumbler or mug, let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and if this was useful, please do hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content on all kinds of maker things, and we'll see you next time.